Welcome to Ask Caleffi, the podcast that dives into real-life problems that plumbing and HVAC technicians face in the field. We're your hosts from the Caleffi Tech Support Team. I'm Greg Tubbs.
And I'm Dan Furcus. Welcome. We look forward to sharing some stories from our tech calls and using our background and expertise to make your days a little easier.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Ask Caleffi podcast. How are we doing today, Dan?
Oh, we're doing good. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. We're glad you joined us.
Yeah, you're joining us on a crisp fall Wisconsin day here. It's in the air, isn't it?
It is. Definitely fall is in the air.
Yeah, we're getting to that point in the year where it's maintenance time.
It is. Yeah, I love this time of year. Well, not from the maintenance. I like the crisp air. I like the crisp air, and I like fall.
Yeah, but the having to run around and do
the load of maintenance calls.
Of maintenance calls, it can be rough.
It can be.
But, we both came from that background of having to go and do maintenance calls, and, we would do both forced air and hydronic. We'd have a pretty good checklist of things to check off. But when it comes to hydronic, I think there's a lot of things overlooked.
There is. And, you and I were talking about it before this, and it's like, you think of preventative maintenance and it's going out and doing a clean and check.
Right.
Checking the combustion side, cleaning the combustion side, testing the boiler itself.
Right.
But boy, there's a lot of components in your system that really could use some attention as well.
Right. The combustion side, that's important too, to keep that boiler running tip-top shape.
Yeah, make sure it's safe and reliable.
Right. You don't want any weird things happening while you're in the throes of heating season.
Yeah, right.
But I think the rest of the system, the connections in the piping, some of the components in the piping really they get a blind eye turned to them.
And a lot of those affect how the boiler could perform. You can come in and do a tune-up and clean and check on the boiler, and the thing's running, top-notch and ready for the season, but then you have a component issue, and, let's just say, you have a plug screen on your backflow preventer because, you're out doing maintenance and you didn't take time to clean the screen in the backflow preventer or autofill, and now the unit purges some air out and goes out on low pressure.
Right. Or, something as silly as a leaky packing in a shutoff valve.
Right.
An isolation shutoff. And a lot of systems, let's be honest, they've got shutoff valves that haven't been touched in years.
Right.
We've come on those, they're crusty, they're nasty looking. You don't dare put a pipe wrench on it.
No, you sure don't.
But you know what? What you should be doing is bringing your customer down there and showing them, hey, look, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but if I ever have to shut this system down, you're probably going to experience a leak from this nasty old shutoff valve.
Right. Talk to them about maybe replacing it, or it's time to exercise that valve and see what you're going to run into.
Warn them ahead of time, hey, I got to exercise this valve. It may or may not close off.
Right.
It may start to leak, and it may continue to leak afterwards.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So be real diligent about making your customer aware of what's going on before you go touching stuff, because we've all been there. You go touch one valve that hasn't been exercised in 10 years, and all of a sudden it's leaking from the packing.
Right.
And you can do all you want to tighten that packing, and it still doesn't seal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Also a good time to clean your separators.
Yes. Yeah, air, dirt separators.
Yep. Hydraulic separators, a lot of those will have a purge point at the bottom if it's not our SEP 4 or 4-in-1.
Right. Well, even still, the 548's got a point where you can purge it off. Right. Looking at pump connections, if a system, you go and do a purge on a system after doing maintenance, and say the customer keeps calling you back because you have problems with air in the system. Well, the air vent's not doing its job. Maybe it is doing its job, but maybe one of those gaskets in that pump flange might be so dry that it's actually allowing air to suck in. It may hold water back, but air can get sucked in past those dry old gaskets.
Yep, allowing air to permeate the system.
You bet.
Zone valves. Your zone valves sit all year.
They do.
Good time to turn each zone on individually, watch the zone valve open, watch it close, test your end switches, make sure those are all working properly, make sure there's no debris in the valve, that it actually closes off completely.
Right.
I mean, you look at our zone valves, you can actually take the body apart and get in and clean it out if you need to, or do a rebuild on it.
Right. And speaking of rebuilds, we offer a lot of rebuild parts, even for air separators. You can get a new cover and float. Hey, if you can't get that chunk of debris out of the needle valve in an air vent, like our 551 series in particular, if you can't get a chunk of debris out of there, we do offer a replacement cover and float.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point to bring up. And you can always call us if you need a hand getting a part number for that. You can explain what you have, and we'll talk you through cleaning it if you're not comfortable doing that. That's another topic that I think about too. There's a lot of system components and that get overlooked because maybe guys aren't familiar with what they are or what they do.
Right. Well, an air vent, I think, is a huge offender because, hey, if it leaks, we'll just screw the cover down.
Right.
We'll screw that purge cover down and the cap, and it'll go away.
It'll stop. The leak will go away.
The leak will go away, but you still, it's not venting the air out.
Right. The air won't go away.
No, certainly won't. No. So, and then when the homeowner decides to go down there because they're hearing air through the pipes, they open it up and all of a sudden it's leaking, and you're getting a return service call.
Right.
So,
well, and that's the key when you're out doing maintenance, to take your time and address all the components so that, one, the customer doesn't have issues. Two, you don't have to have return visits, because I guarantee the minute you get a return visit, the customer is going to look at you and say, well, I paid you to do maintenance. Why am I having an issue? You were supposed to come out and do maintenance and fix the problem, and, now you're back.
Right. And that's where...
You can't prevent that.
You can't prevent. That. Yeah, we know that. I mean, you think you got it licked, and all of a sudden you're having a problem. It's just the way it is.
You can't control when that pump fails or when that end switch fails, or
weird things.
No.
Yeah,
you don't have a crystal ball.
Certainly don't. But cleaning out an air vent, it really isn't that difficult. Removing the top from that, you got to shut the system down. You got to. This all takes time. Mm-hmm. It takes a bunch of time. And I would say if you know that you're going to go on a boiler clean and check, you're not just doing the boiler, you're doing the entire system. Because if you don't, it will bite you.
Absolutely will.
Plan on spending more than just an hour at that customer's house. Because you're probably going to have half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour into just the boiler itself, depending on what you have to do. Then you're going looking over the rest of the system. And if you find something, that's when you got to start digging and start working to get it fixed.
Right. And, you think about, going out and, spending an hour or more than an hour in a customer's home. I mean, obviously that, there's a cost to that.
Right.
There's a cost to the customer for that. So, taking the time to communicate with the customer and walk through the system with them and point out the different components and take the steps to educate them builds a ton of value, and they're going to call you back the next year. And you know what? When you come back the next year, if you do the entire system maintenance, it's going to be easier year after year, and you'll have less time invested.
Right. Well, and the other bummer too is, like, maybe this is the first time you're ever going to this customer's house because they had, another contractor in there doing it, and well, that last guy only spent a half hour. That last guy only spent an hour here.
Yeah, it only took him 40
Why is it
minutes.
taking you so long? Well, look at all this stuff I'm finding,
Right.
Leaky shutoff valves and an air vent that's leaking and an expansion tank that maybe has a pinhole or whatever you're going to find.
Right.
Walk them through what you're finding as you're finding it, or do a general assessment and then come back and say, hey, I got some things I need you to see before I make any repairs, or, let me make some suggestions here.
Sure. Yeah, just communicating well and being thorough, and it's not about upselling. I mean, you and I both are sensitive to that. It's not about going out there and trying to upsell and get somebody to do something maybe they don't need to, but it's about, educating the customer, finding the problems before they become a real problem, and at least pointing them out and going, okay, well, you've got some wear and tear here, you've got some issues here, something to at least put on your radar. If I can replace it today, if you don't want to replace it today, at least know that, that it's coming up.
Yeah, you're mindful of the fact that this could be a problem in the future. So you document it, valve here, return line over here, whatever it is you need to do to document it, have them sign off on it. Then they know you made them aware.
Right.
So if they call back and say, hey, you guys didn't tell me about this, or this is leaking, and then the secretary can go into the records and say, well, we did let you know that a valve over here and such date was showing signs of wear or leaking or whatever the problem might have been. It's documented, and it's kind of we're in a world now where you have to document. You have to.
Well, I think customers appreciate you taking the time to do that, because
most of them do.
I think you and I, and then every customer is different. Some of them just want you to come out and handle it, and they don't care. And other customers, want to know what's going on. They want to have a little understanding of what their system is and what all the components do. So, they appreciate that you're thorough enough to take the time and educate them on the system they have. I mean, I remember getting calls from customers when they bought new homes, especially new homes with radiant systems, and you walk in and there's a lot of zones and a lot of PEX and a lot of pipe and components and, this machine hanging on the wall, and they don't even know what it is.
Right. It's a new home to them, and in a completely new and entirely different heating system.
Yeah, exactly. So they're used to the furnace and connected to the duct, and it blows warm air. And okay, my house is warm, but now I have all this pipes and valves and controls, and it looks like the space shuttle to them.
It does. It looks like Cape Canaveral's control center. There's all sorts of flashing lights and cool things that make neat noises.
Right. So I think they almost appreciate when you come in there and you walk them through there and educate them on the system they have. It builds a comfort level that, hey, I got a guy in here who knows what he's doing. And he's taking the time and he's patient enough with me as a homeowner to educate me on what I have. So at least now I feel a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah. And I think that it goes a long way.
Oh, it goes a really long way.
Yeah, I've gotten more referrals from doing a job that way than just kind of, I've been here before, I know what this is, do my job, and hand them a bill and go.
Right.
A lot of them, my customers, always appreciated the fact that I'd take the time. Yeah. And yours did too.
Absolutely. It's relational. Everything in life is.
Yep. I'd rather have a good relationship with those customers than a bad one.
Yeah. Well, and then the other factor is if you do see a component in the system that maybe you're walking into a really old system and you haven't worked on them before and you don't know what all the components are. If you have the ability to take a picture of it, and you can always call us. We always say phone a friend. Great.
Yeah.
I like to refer to that.
Yeah, phone a friend.
Yeah.
Phone a friend and email them a picture, because pictures are worth 1,000 words, and words sometimes aren't worth a whole lot because maybe we're not getting the picture.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you could take a picture of that component. You can email it in to our tech support email and say, hey, what is this? What does it do? Do you have a product similar to that? If you have questions, we're happy to take a look at it and fire back. I mean, that's the one thing we pride ourselves of here at Caleffi is excellence in education.
Yeah.
We have so many educational material available, and we're happy to help people.
Yeah. Well, and we take pride in it. We really take pride in helping people out. I know I feel better after being able to help people, and they're relieved that they know how it works or what to do to make the repair.
Right. Yeah, so if you run into something that you're unfamiliar with, don't be afraid to reach out. Ask somebody, or look on the local boards that are available out there for heating boards or informational groups.
Right.
There's always someone out there willing to help.
Heating help or something.
Yeah, the key is just take time and ask.
Yeah, somebody will be there to help you. And if you don't like what they have to say, then move on to the next one.
Right.
Well, here we are, fall. So happy fall, and good luck with all those maintenance calls out there, guys and gals. Thank you for tuning in. If you ever need help,
please feel free to contact our tech support team anytime at techsupport.us@caleffi.com.
or call us during our business hours at 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Central Time at 414-238-2360.